Hello, beautiful beings. Welcome to Soul Shift Messages. If you found your way here, trust there's something in this message for you. Understand this space is about growth, truth, and transformation. We don't bypass here. We don't sugarcoat, and not every message will feel comfortable, but it will be honest. I speak in flow, and sometimes that includes cussing. It's just part of how the messages come through. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't, and trust your own discernment above all else. Take a deep breath, and let's begin. If you're new here, please know that I post weekly content in 3 parts. Part 1 focuses on what needs to be revealed. Part 2 focuses on what needs to be understood, and it tends to be a deeper dive on Part 1. And Part 3 focuses on what needs to be done. It's really about what action needs to be taken to embody the topic that we're talking about that week. Please know that you can find links to the other parts in the description box below. This video is part 3, so it will be the final video in this series, and I will go through the other parts and update links to this video just so that no matter where you come in, you'll be able to find all related content. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this message. I am calling this one How to Break Scarcity and Lack in Your Experience. This is a practical system for changing how scarcity is created in your experience. Scarcity is the felt state of insufficiency, instability, or threat of loss. And lack is the interpretation that something essential, whether that's security, value, love, opportunity, control, or stability, is missing or inaccessible. At its core, stability is not caused by lack of ability or opportunity. It is created by acting at the wrong time, interfering with things that already work, spreading energy too thin, staying partially attached to what doesn't work, and constantly re-engaging instead of letting things stabilize. The core mechanism, interference with stability. This is the central pattern everything else connects to. Something starts working or becoming stable. You feel the urge to think about it, adjust it, or improve it. You intervene. Stability breaks. The system resets. The problem is not creating results. It is interrupting them at the moment they could stabilize. What this looks like in real life. You improve something that already works and weaken it. You revisit decisions that were already made. You re-enter things that were already complete. You mentally stay involved in things that should be left alone. You don't allow finished or stable to stay untouched. What needs to change? When something works, do not touch it. Not emotionally, not mentally, not structurally. Energy scattering and lack of accumulation. Scarcity is not just interruption, it's also diffusion of focus and effort. The pattern looks like attention spread across too many directions, multiple ideas, commitments, or possibilities running at once, partial engagement instead of full investment, or constant shifting between things. The result is nothing gets enough consistency to accumulate. Everything stays in early or unstable stages, and progress resets instead of building. You don't lack effort, you lack concentrated effort over time. What needs to change? Do fewer things. Stay with them longer. Stop splitting attention across too many options, and stop mentally maintaining things you are not actively building. Mistimed action, doing the right thing at the wrong time. A major driver of instability is not what you do, but when you do it. You tend to act when things are already working, adjust when things are stabilizing, think deeply right after progress, change direction mid-flow, and you tend to hesitate when clear action is actually needed. This results in stability gets interrupted, momentum never fully locks in, and progress stays partial or temporary. What needs to change? When something is working, don't act. When something clearly needs action, act simply and directly. Inability to let things be final or complete. A major hidden driver of instability is the refusal to let things become done. You avoid final decisions. You reopen completed things. You keep options mentally open. You continue engaging with things that should be closed, and you don't fully register completion. Why do you do this? Because finality feels too rigid. Closure feels like loss of flexibility, and almost done feels safer than done. But the result is everything stays in an unfinished state, which prevents accumulation. What needs to change? Make clear decisions. Let things be finished. Stop revisiting completed outcomes, and recognize when something is done enough and leave it. Distorted relationship to simplicity, ease, and stability. Stability is not just interrupted, it is often misinterpreted. When something is simple, it feels incomplete. When something is stable, it feels like nothing is happening. When something is easy, it feels suspicious. And when something is calm, it feels like stagnation. So you tend to complicate what is working add movement where none is needed, and create adjustments to restore a sense of progress. You replace stability with activity even when stability was already working. What needs to change? Learn to correctly interpret how things feel when they are actually working. Simplicity is not lack of depth or effort. It's a sign that things are aligned and operating correctly without unnecessary interference. Stability is not stagnation. It is success in its real form, where something is actually holding, continuing, and building over time. And calm is not emptiness or nothing happening. It's the signal that the system is functioning properly without disruption, excess effort, or internal conflict. Re-entry into what should be left. This is one of the most subtle but powerful mechanisms. Even after deciding something doesn't work, completing something, or moving on mentally, you still revisit it, think about it, check it, or stay partially involved. The result is old systems stay emotionally active. Energy is split between past and present, and nothing fully closes or stabilizes. Real-life examples include continuing to mentally revisit an old project you already stopped, checking or adjusting something you decided to drop, staying emotionally involved in relationships or dynamics that drain you, keeping backup plans alive that contradict your current direction, and reopening old decisions instead of moving forward from them. What needs to change? If something doesn't work, leave it completely. No partial attention, no revisiting, no just in case. Control through interaction. There is a subtle belief system that if you are thinking about something, you are in control of it. And if you are not involved, you might lose control. So you monitor things, mentally stay engaged, and adjust outcomes through attention. The result is constant mental engagement creates constant disturbance, even when nothing is physically being done. I would say it again. The result is constant mental engagement creates constant disturbance, even when nothing is physically being done. What needs to change? Control does not come from attention. Control comes from letting stable systems run without interference. Identity attachment, the fixer self. Part of the pattern is identity-based. You're used to being the one who improves things, the one who adjusts things, the one who finds what is wrong, the one who refines systems. So when nothing is wrong, that role disappears and the system tries to restore it by finding something to fix, reopening something, or making adjustments. The result is stability gets disrupted to maintain identity. What needs to change? You don't need to be the fixer. You can also be the person who keeps things working. I heard say it again. You don't need to be the fixer. You can also be the person who keeps things working. Visibility and pressure response. When things start working or become visible, pressure increases internally. Effort increases. Overperformance starts, and then collapse or disruption follows. The result is visibility becomes a trigger for instability instead of stability. What needs to change? Being seen does not require escalation. Stability must continue unchanged under visibility. I'm hearing stay consistent. Energy management and fatigue reality. Not all disruption is psychological. Overextension leads to real fatigue. Fatigue is sometimes mistaken as resistance, and then you push harder, which worsens the cycle. The result is collapse cycles repeat, and recovery is mistaken for reset. What needs to change? Respect real capacity limits. Reduce overload instead of pushing through everything. I'm hearing you are a human being, not a human doing. You need rest. Honor your limits. It is okay to acknowledge your limits. Everyone has them, whether they want to admit it or not. The core behavior loop, essentially how the system runs. The full cycle looks like this. Something starts working. You become aware of it. You think about it. You adjust or reevaluate it. Stability breaks. Energy scatters. You reset or restart. Something begins again. The system never fails because of lack of ability, only because of interruption. So what to do? Do less but longer. Fewer directions, longer consistency, and no switching mid-flow. Stop interfering with what works. No tweaking, no improvement loops, and no reanalysis during stability. Leave what doesn't work completely. No partial involvement, no revisiting, and no emotional attachment. Fix timing. Act when needed and do nothing when something is already working. Stop mental engagement with stable systems. Don't monitor what already works, and don't think your way into interference. Allow completion. Define things as done and stop reopening them. Allow what is complete to stay complete. What is done is done. Some of you may need to actually make a definition, write a definition down of when something is done and honor that. Whatever you feel called to is going to be the right method for you. You know yourself best. Build instead of reset. Continue from progress and do not restart cycles. A daily practice that you can use once per day. And I'm hearing start small with this. Be reasonable, all right? Practice makes perfect. Pick something small, all right? Once per day, notice something working. Feel the urge to change it. Do nothing. Do not mentally revisit it and let it continue unchanged. Again, they want me to reiterate, pick something small to start. I'm hearing nitpicking. If you know you're prone to nitpicking, that's where they want you to start applying that daily practice. You know, that's for someone. I'm not sure who, but that came through. If you nitpick, that's where you apply this daily practice. I'm hearing things don't have to be perfect to be done. Some of you really need to figure out what your definition is of done for something and apply that daily practice to it. Alrighty. The final message. Nothing is missing. The pattern is not caused by lack. It is caused by interruption at the moment of stability, spreading energy across too many directions, re-entering what should be left, acting at the wrong time, and not allowing things to become final. Stop interfering when something is working. Stop splitting your energy. That's between the past and the present. If you saw my video about how to stop overextending, I said to close what is complete. And I talked about you feeling stuck because you were actually in between two timelines. That's splitting your energy. You got one foot in one past timeline. You got another foot in the timeline you're actually trying to go into. That's splitting your time. That's splitting your energy. That's not for everyone, but if you watch that video, stop splitting your energy. And stop reopening what is already done. I'm going to say that one more time through cleanly because that channel came in the middle. So stop interfering when something is working. Stop splitting your energy. And stop reopening what is already done. Because stability does not require more action. It requires less interference and longer continuity. And when that happens, things stop resetting. Progress accumulates, and scarcity naturally dissolves. Not because something new was added, but because nothing was being undone anymore. All right, that feels complete, and I'm not getting any more information, so I'm gonna wrap this video up. So again, I will update all links to this series once I upload this video, so everything will be available. And I will be back next week with a brand new topic. So hopefully you found this insightful, and take care of yourselves, beautiful beings. Until next time, bye.